Last year we started by talking about the festival and who comes to the festival and why they might come to the festival. And we used a lot of the artists who had been here from the beginning, who were here now, and who were starting to come more and more to try to tell the story of who comes to this festival. And the evolution of that is that this year we received a grant from an organization called Alternate Roots, which we give mad props to. And it was called a Community Artist Partnership Grant, a CAP grant. And the Community Artist Partnership was between the folks here that put the festival on, myself and Carrie and Mitch and all these fantastic folks that you see up here, and our neighbors, the Owens family, who have been feeding you guys all weekend. If you don't know the Owens family, they are absolutely amazing. It's a family of artists, first and foremost. We love you, Owens family. Storytellers, photographers, MCs, carpenters, amazing visual artists, singers, painters. I mean, this is just a family that inspires us. And we moved here, and they're the best possible neighbors you can imagine. And Ron and Janice have been here for a while, raising their family. But Janice's family, the Hardings, have been here for over 150 years. And I think it goes back beyond that, doesn't it, Janice? So, as a matter of fact, Mitch and Carla, I think you heard this story this morning, Mitch and Carla bought this property from Howard and Jean Harding. And Howard and Jean Harding bought this property from Ned and Alice McCone. And in this process, for this grant, we started doing an oral history project, where basically we sat down and just talked about what is Clear Creek, why did you come here, and what kept you here, and what would you like to see happen at Clear Creek. And the folks that we were interviewing was a series of folks who were over 90 years old, who were still living on the creek, enjoying this fresh, clean water, and having tons of wisdom. Just to honor Mary Harding and Joe ABNEY and Johnny King and Rosie and I mean just Donald DEES and all these fantastic neighbors. And it's going to continue on. We're going to keep doing this. But what we have here is, from all these stories, some themes came up that we wanted to put into a piece to share with you guys. Some themes you all might recognize. Themes like moonshine. Themes like fresh, clean water. Themes like self-sufficiency. Themes like we love nature. Themes like we don't like people telling us what to do. Themes like we can get by on our own, but we need community when times get tough. And we wanted to honor these themes. So we have a humble piece of storytelling for you guys that we would like to offer, honoring these pieces. And the genesis of this, it all sort of started when this root cellar up here was the first structure that we noticed when we came to this land. And we found out in this process, as you can see, if you maybe turn your head back, you can see the root cellar is starting to glow back there a little bit. That's where the beginning of our piece is going to happen. That root cellar was built by Alice McCone by hand 150 years ago. And Alice McCone was the midwife of this region. She delivered over 50 children here on Clear Creek. And you can imagine that those children begat children, and those children begat children, and pretty much Clear Creek is what it is, a lot because of the life-giving and nurturing that Alice and the other community members brought to Clear Creek. But Alice was this central figure, and in fact, we found out after that where you all are sitting right now was the home of Alice and Ned McCone, right here on the festival ground. So just a special shout out to our friend Alice McCone, who is looking over us on this production. Thank you, Alice. So a little bit about the piece. We're going to start here at the root cellar. You don't have to move. Just notice that it's going to begin up there. It will be mic'd so you can hear it, and it's going to make its way to the stage. And there may be some performers that you recognize, maybe some stories that you recognize, but we just want we want to take you back on a little journey of some of the themes and some of the people that have meant a lot to us here on Clear Creek. And we're going to continue this process as we honor those who have come before, and we honor you all who are here now. and we hope this energy takes us forward into what comes next. So, without further ado, I'm going to give you On the Creek.
It's a song that will linger forever in our ears. Oh, hard times come again no more. It's a song, the sigh of the weary. Oh, hard times come again no more. Many days you have lingered around my cabin door. Oh, hard times come again no more. Well, looks like I need to get things together here. Oh, Miss McCoy, she's having her 16th child. I told that woman, I know it says in the Bible that be fruitful and multiply, but Lord, I didn't mean for her to take it upon herself to do it all. Anyway, looks like I've got it here, the willow bark, the coffee. She's going to need that, and I know I am. I tell you, I don't know how she does it. I mean, I've got 8 of my own, and one somebody else's. You know, it's a lucky woman to have a good man next to you, because women these days, I don't know how it is in the cities or anything, but around here, you're kind of at the mercy of them. And I know Miss McCoy now. Miss McCoy's man, he's all right, but sometimes he takes to drinking. And he's not that nice to her. And them children, they have to see that, but, well, all I can do is what I can do. Lord have mercy. There is something astir in this front yard of mine tonight. You know, when I was out in the field today, I could have sworn I seen a bunch of children all dressed in a bunch of colors. Some of them dressed was like alligators. I've never seen an alligator, but I've seen one in a book once. Yeah, there's a lot of stirring going on tonight. A lot of spirits. Must be because of the harvest coming on. Well, Donnie D, is that you?
Ma'am.
Well, hey, honey. I haven't seen you in church for a while. What are you doing out in my front yard? Lord, I'm not really sure what this is all about. Must be something good. This poor kid's going to need all he can get. It's good. You tell your daddy I might need some ginseng coming up soon. I could trade him some coffee. We've been to town last week.
I'll tell him, ma'am.
Thank you very much, Donnie. I tell you, it's hard growing up here, but I love it. It's so beautiful. That's why I came. I mean, I just love farming, and Ned does too. I'm lucky. Ned's a hard worker. But, boy, old Miss McCoy kind of reminds me of another situation I had to deal with one year. There was a woman, I won't say her name because it just ain't right, but this hard living got to her. She'd lost a child up in Cincinnati, and she'd had a whole gaggle of them, children. I could feel you out there, but I can't quite see you. I know you're listening, though. Anyway, Lord, it makes me get all choked up just thinking about it. She got so tired and so worn out with life. The last child she had, well, let's just say it's with Jesus now. This creek's seen a lot of hard times. You got to work all the time. You got to work 7 days a week, sun to sun. Sometimes, some years, you know, your fruit, your work's paid off. Some year, You just need somebody around you to help you out. That's the good thing about Clear Creek. I know they call it Disputanta down at the post office, but we call it Clear Creek. And what kind of name is Disputanta anyway? Sounds like some kind of foreign language or something. Anyway, Lord, there's an awful lot of spirits. Well, anyway, I knew there was something wrong with that woman. She just kind of had that look in her eye, like she didn't have no look left in her eye, really. You know what I mean, spirits? I know you can hear me. Well, she's up in Cincinnati now in a hospital. Rosie.
Hi, Mama.
Honey, I've been looking for you. You know I got to go to the McCoys today.
You don't have to say anything else. I'll get supper on and make some coffee.
Boy, that Rosie, she's a good one. Like I said, I got 8 of my own. And one little feller we adopted when he was 14 years old. He's the child of the woman I talked about. My husband Ned picked him up from his house. It was quite a sight to see that fella. He hadn't eaten in a few days. It was cold. But he's with us now. And he's a good one. He can hunt. And he's good with the girls. In fact, he and Rosie are thick as thieves. Lord, I've got a lot to do. That's just the way it is. Like I say, you know, you can work and work and work out here. And some years, all your work, well, is like you might as well have not worked at all. I remember one year, we had 2 hams stored away. Winter was coming on. Me and Ned, we went out to town down to Berea. Now, that's a long ride on a wagon. That's about half a day. Anyway, we come back. The house had burned down. Luckily, none of the children was in the house, but unfortunately, there was 2 hams in that house. Lord, when we came home, all we could smell was ham. And I didn't know what we were going to do. But the community here at Clear Creek, you know, there's a lot of hardness, but there's a lot of softness too. There's a lot of people that know what to do when times are hard for folks. And I tell you what, we ate. It wasn't easy. We didn't have ham, that's for sure, but we had some squirrel and someone brought us a deer. We're a part of one anyway. We did all right. That's the way it is here on Clear Creek. We got folks who can do just about anything. Like, for example, if you were born and raised on Clear Creek, you don't got to pay for no funeral. We don't believe in that. Nobody should have to. We got a family down the road, the Chastines. That's their name. And their boys build the nicest caskets you'd ever see. And they'll bury you for nothing down in the graveyard. And me? Well, I'm a midwife. I bring children into this world. My name's Alice McComb. I do a lot of other things. I built that root cellar. Grew this tobacco, too. Lord, I know y'all are out there. I can feel you, but I can't see you. Anyway, the thing is, what you learn down here on Clear Creek is, you know, we're all God's children. I know that. Every one of them babies that I've helped give birth to, I know there's a God children because I've seen it in every single one of their eyes. Even that one that's not with us today. And who knows what's going to happen to them, but all I can do is help them get into this world. And I guess that's what I better start getting to. I don't know why I'm talking to y'all. Sometimes I talk to myself. I mean, you know, and I even answer myself sometimes too. If I don't have the answers, I don't know who does. Anyway, Rosie, you're doing a fine job there. Make sure your daddy's coffee's all ready, and I'm going to get the rest of this stuff together. You're a good girl, Rosie.
Amen. Lordy, people coming up and down this road now. I can't even tell who they are anymore. They just shout out my name. Hey, Joe. I have no idea. These fancy cars. The new road's nice, but man, they sure are going fast. I tell you what, things change so quick around here. It's like the name, Clear Creek, right? But they call it Disputanta. You know how Disputanta got its name? I'll tell you. There was two communities, one at the top of the hill called Uno. They had a real nice post office, big old log house. At the bottom, they had Reedsville. Now, Reedsville was real prosperous, right? It was a tannery, and people were doing well, but they needed their own post office and a town themselves. So once the post office up at Uno burned down, Reedsville and Uno started talking about, we need our own town. We want to call it Uno. We want to call it Reedsville. Uno, Reedsville. Uno, Reedsville. Well, pretty soon we had a dispute on our hands. So folks said, you know what we need to do? We need to go see the colonel. Now, I'll tell you, the colonel's not really a colonel. The colonel was the editor of the local paper, an educated man who I didn't care much for at the time. But they said, Colonel, we've got this dispute here. And he said, well, a dispute? Well, do you know what the Latin word for that which is disputed? Disputanta. Lord, they should have just kept it Clear Creek. That's what we call it now anyway.
Ooh, clear water running out of the hill. Clear moonshine whiskey running out of the still. One follows the other follows the one. You drink water while you work all day, drink whiskey when your work is done. That song reminds me of my daddy. Yeah, he made a little moonshine whiskey. I'll talk more about that in a minute. Now, when I was born, right here on the creek, well, not right here on the creek, up the road a little ways, across the creek over there on the south side of the creek, back in 1946, my daddy was 57, 59 years old, I don't rightly remember. But by the time I came along, my daddy become known for being quite a few things. One of which he's known for being a father of 10 children. Now, when you're the father of 10 children, you got to feed them. And down here, if you wanted to feed your children, well, you had to raise your crops, you had to raise your livestock, you had to butcher your own hogs. So he's known for being something of a farmer as well. Daddy also gained a reputation of being something of a water witcher. Now, not everybody called it water witching at the time. Some folks called it water wishing. They didn't like that word witch in there. What that meant was he knew where to find water. He'd go out to your property, walk around, tell you there's water down here, tell you how to dig deep for it, how deep to dig for it. But what he's known for most of all, he was the local medicine man. Now, down this way, back in those days, we didn't really have much for a doctor. My dad was the closest thing to a doctor we had. You come see him, he could tell you what was wrong with you, and he knew where to find the medicines. Now, of course, we lived on the south side of the creek, the north-facing side of the slope. That's where the medicines grew. My daddy knew where to find the bloodroot. He knew where to find the yellow root. He knew where to find the ginseng. Of course, everyone knew where to find the ginseng, but Daddy was really good at it. But you came to see my daddy, he'd tell you what was wrong with you. He'd tell you what you needed to make it better, and he knew how to mix it up so that your body could take the medicine. Now, to mix up a lot of them medicines, what you needed was alcohol, and that's where the moonshine came in. Yeah, he drank a little bit too, but it was mostly for medicine. Now, if you came to see my daddy and you had something to trade for his doctrine, well, he expected you to pay up. Now, if you didn't have anything to trade, if you was having a hard time that year, well, he wasn't going to send you away. He's going to make sure you was taken care of. That's just kind of how we did things back in that day, is people took care of each other. one family's having a bit of a hard time, another family's having a pretty good time, they'd help each other out, make sure everybody got through the winter all right. Like that time Miss McCone's house burned down, burned up a winter's worth of hams with it, she's taken care of. Of course, everybody knew each other down here on the creek at the time. Yep, most of us were related, half of us related to each other, so you pretty much had to take care of each other at the time. But hard times, good times when I was growing up, us kids, we didn't really know the difference. We just thought that's how times were, and reminds me of another song. Something about good times and all your corn came in. Well, I'm going to work on that song a little bit more. Y'all be good to each other.
Did y'all know that I was born and raised on this here land? Right here on this land. Now, most of my memories are of working hard. And Lord, my mama, that's all she'd like to talk about was working hard and birthing babies. And that's what I did. I worked hard and helped her. She was the local midwife. She helped a lot of women up and down the creek in their time of need. But you know, let's not be too hard on my mama, because she liked to have a good time, and I did too. Now, when we was growing up, we mostly kept to ourselves. We had our own farms and took care of ourselves, and sometimes took care of each other when that was necessary. But you know, my favorite memory, it isn't even on this piece of land. It's actually a couple of farms over and around the bend and past a couple more springs. Now, I've lived quite a long life, but this favorite memory of mine, I must have been about 7 or 8 years old. It was 1918, when the Great War was going on, and some of the fellers went over there. We thought we'd never see them again. Now, the Parson family lived over there, and I'd never been there before or since, but they had a young man come home. And they threw the biggest party you ever saw on Clear Creek. I mean, they invited everybody, and, well, we didn't party a lot, and it was a big deal, and I didn't know him, but we went over there. So we was walking through the woods, and I could hear him a whooping and a hollering and a having a good time before we ever even got there. And then when we rounded the bend, and we saw the house up there, and there was the biggest bunch of people I've ever seen in my life. And then there was the biggest table of food I'd ever seen in my life. And, you know, like I said, hard times, this was abundance. There was every kind of meat I'd ever seen. There was every kind of vegetable you can imagine, every kind of dessert. And us kids, we was filling up on all the lemonade that we could drink. And, well, the adults were drinking something else. And my mama never did approve of that, but, well, she did smoke tobacco. But anyways, I remember being there that day and all of us just loving each other and taking care of each other and having a cause for celebration. And as long and as hard as my life has been, that's my favorite memory of Clear Creek, and I believe it will be until the day I die.
Come on, baby. Oh, Lordy. Lordy, Lordy, Lordy. He could sure help make 'em, but he sure can't help take care of 'em. 8 babies and another mouth to feed. Lord, have mercy. My mama warned me, but no, I had to fall in love. I loved him. I never had nothing in my life. Now I sure ain't even got close to nothing but worries. And this baby, Lord knows we don't need another baby. Ooh, the mother child sings to her baby. Ooh, the mother child sings. Oh, go to sleep in the meat house. Ain't no milk to drink. Best go on with Jesus. Go on with Jesus and sleep. Cool, the mother child sings to a baby. Cool, the mother child sings. Sleep, my baby. Sleep, my baby. Sleep.
Lord, there's a lot of things are happening out there. Can y'all hear me? Well, I've got to ask your help. This family, I'm worried about them. There ain't much I can do. Y'all sure you ain't spirits? Yeah. You tell her I'll be right there. Like I said, I'm worried about this family. I don't know how these children are going to turn out. But it ain't for me to judge. All I can do is what I can do. But like I told you, this little child's going to have God in his eyes just like the rest of them. And it's up to him to do with his life what he's going to do. Well, I guess the main thing is that we try to tell the children that the main thing to do is to be good to one another. If y'all are spirits and you're up there with whoever you want to call him, God, well, you know this already. But we forget it down here sometimes. It's easy to forget. Get caught up. In your own life. You forget when you have something, when you have enough, you forget how it is not to have enough. And you forget to listen to your neighbors. Like that woman I told you about, that she's in Cincinnati now. We didn't listen. We had too much to worry about for our own things. If we'd have listened, well, who knows. Anyway, I better get going. Rosie, I'll be getting going here soon. You've roused up the rest of the children. Before I leave, spirits or ghosts or whatever you are, like I said, I'm going to need your help. And this is what I want you to do if you can. I don't know if you have voices, but I like to sing a little song when I'm bringing this little youngin' into the world. Just kind of give him a chance to hear the sound of a pretty voice. And, well, I don't sing that great, but let him know I'm going to smile at him and that his mama loves him. And it's hard, children. But this is how the song goes. Will the circle be unbroken by and by, Lord, week by week? It's a little different now. You see, I'm talking about these babies. You know how the babies are raised, we talk about them in weeks, all right? And his life's going to be measured by weeks for a long time. Someone's going to say, how old is he? Oh, he's 7 weeks. So here we go again. And the very end of it, you say, on the creek, Lord, on the creek, instead of in the sky, because he's coming in. He's not going out. You understand what I'm saying? All right. Will the circle be unbroken by and by, Lord, week by week? There's a better home awaiting on the creek, Lord, on the creek. Now y'all try it. Will the circle be unbroken by and by, Lord, week by week? Can't hear you, spirits. There's a better home awaiting. That's all right. On the creek, Lord. Well, if you have anything you can say to the Lord for us, you just tell him we're all trying our best down here. And we're all trying to be good to one another. If you have a way of talking to the folks around this community, why don't you remind them sometimes when they're having a hard time remembering that? That's the thing, children, to be kind to one another. Well, thank you for visiting in my front yard.